Tessa, how does Anna feel about everything her mom did for her? Because it's kind of okay. There's like a mix of feelings there, but then it looks like almost like a little acceptance on her face at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I think we wanted to leave a tiny bit of ambiguity. I think it's all things. I think it's a complicated reveal, obviously, and I think it's layered, but certainly acceptance. Because what's done is done, you know. And I think structurally, what felt really exciting when I read the book and when we were building the show, is it felt like the reveal of who this, you know, killer is, and ultimately this serial killer is a kind of serial killer we haven't seen before, and the motive is a kind of motive that we haven't seen before, which is essentially a mother's love, and for it to be like a Black woman, you know, who is partially why she gets away with it is because she's so kind of underestimated in these spaces and invisible in these spaces. And so I think finding that kind of protagonist just felt very exciting for us in general, because it felt like unlike anything I've ever seen in this space before.
John, how would Jack feel about what Alice did, considering it included killing his sister, and then you have Anna's reaction to it? Because these are also two women he cares deeply about.
Yeah, I think...
Yeah, the sister bit is...
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of conversation about that. I mean, I think tough, and I think I don't know that Jack. You know, look, this is a relationship, for better or worse, that has a lot of secrets in it, and there's a lot, like any healthy or unhealthy relationship. You know, there's things that you share, and there's things that I guess you don't, and in this particular relationship, there's definitely deceit. There's definitely secrets, and then there's definitely these are the only two people on Earth that have experienced sort of the same kind of thing and that kind of complete each other and know each other so intimately. So it's that weird dichotomy. I would venture. I mean, I would ask Tessa, but I don't know that Jack does know. I don't know that he ever does know who did it. Right?
Yeah, I don't know that.
Yeah, I don't think that he would.
I don't know that Anna tells you.
Right, and so so if you were wondering like how he would feel, it probably would not be good. I think that would just make the relationship even more. It would not be good. I don't think.
Episode 4 features that great scene of Anna and Jack talking about what they've needed to the murders, their loss, what it did to them. And like, no matter what they think of each other, it really shows how only they can understand and comfort each other. Talk about working together on that scene and how much both characters needed it, because you're both great in it.
Thank you so much. That was a big scene for us because there was so much conversation leading up to it. And John and I, we worked really hard, you know, with like our incredible writers and Bill Dubuque and Will Oldroyd, and but we've both felt, I think, a tremendous amount of, we just cared about that scene. You know, it felt really important to these characters. There was a lot to do and not a lot of space. So I just remember that was the scene. Remember for so long, because we shot in front of these falls, it was like the falls, the falls, the falls. There was so much energy around like the falls. When are we doing the falls? And then we had a scheduling mishap. So we ended up having to shoot it a lot earlier than we were going to, which is always the way. But I mean, I loved shooting that scene. It was a very late night shoot, but I think there was this feeling of, in a way, it was catharsis. And also it, you know, is imperfect, but it's a moment of them really coming together. And to me, that's really the heart of the show, is this marriage story in reverse, and about two people that lose their way and have to find their way back to each other. And I think that's the thing that we all, you know, understand in some ways as humans, maybe not in our romantic dynamics, but somewhere in our life, there's been a relationship that, you know, we have to find our way back to each other. And so that scene meant a lot to us. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's so much about people who feel kind of uniquely alone, and then you realize you can kind of be alone together, you know, and because they're the only ones with that shared experience. And yeah, I agree. We spent a lot of time talking about it, and it's cool, you know, like she's the boss lady of the project, you know what I mean? So like to sit down and like to be able to, you definitely felt heard on this, and all ideas were taken into consideration, and it was always sort of That's just somebody agreeing with me. But I think that that was really that might have been my favorite part of the process, sort of working on that scene, and just sort of there were no kind of bad ideas, and there's many times it's just you and me sort of sitting down, really trying to be like, well, what if it's this, what if it's that, and it's like, how do you manage kind of telling the story of these people through a scene, but don't make it sound like exposition, and really make it active, and that they're both really trying to get after something. So yeah.
So last question, at any point had either of your characters thought the other could truly be a murderer?
Did you?
It's interesting because our series is based on a book, and in the book, you have these dual perspectives. Every chapter there's one his, there's one hers, and then there's this sort of narrator in between that you understand is the murderer, but it could be either of them. And so there is this real tension as a reader that you suspect it's definitely one of these two people. And I think on our show, it's slightly different, but we wanted this sense in the first couple episodes, at least from an audience perspective, that that perhaps it could be one of them. But I think the sort of biggest thing that our show kind of wanted to explore is also just the secrets that we keep from each other, these like small transgressions inside of relationships, when we don't exactly say like how we feel or show up exactly as who we are. And so I think they both have a tremendous amount of sort of suspicion of the other that's based on, their relationship falling apart in a time when they weren't particularly communicative. And certainly Anna, I think, left that relationship pretty abruptly and has left kind of a lot of mystery behind her. So I think they both have a sense of like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that I think for Jack, he's in a pretty tough predicament, because all signs are eventually gonna point to him, but he knows he didn't do it. And I think as soon as he sort of discovers, a guy who's sort of dedicated his life to solving things and figuring out who did it, and being predatory when it comes to, criminals. When he finds out it's this one person on Earth that could have done it, it immediately sort of switches into complete protection, and he'll lie, cheat, and steal for her and kill for her. And I love things like that. I love that about human nature, that sort of in a crisis lies the opportunity. You find out your true colors. That's where relationships, I think, are defined, is when they're really tested. You really see who matters to you and who doesn't.